Hello and welcome to Anxious at Pod Time. No? Hello and welcome to Anxious at Bedtime.
The podcast.
The podcast.
Thank you for joining us. We are your co-hosts. My name is Monica.
I'm Cash.
And I'm still battling that cold, so I'm sorry.
I'm here.
That's how I feel like I sound. And do we have anything new to talk about?
I've got nothing new.
Have I told my Audible story on here yet?
I don't recall.
I can't remember either. In case I haven't, I think I'm not sure it's a ghost, but something weird did happen a while ago to me. I think it was when you were in Texas.
Okay.
You don't remember the story?
I don't recall.
I'm pretty sure we were on the phone. I was doing something, and my phone just randomly started playing Audible. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I went to stop it, and it was a book that I hadn't purchased, hadn't downloaded. It's not in my download or listen history, but it was called Spirited.
I do remember that. I don't remember you covering it on the podcast, but
Okay.
I do remember you telling me.
Yeah, that was just weird.
It was odd.
And then something else that I just learned about that I want to talk about. There's this place, what?
I thought you were going to say something wild like Texas.
No. There's this place called Mount Vatavara in, oh gosh, I don't remember where it's in. It's in like Slovakia, but it's a country I've never heard of.
You've heard of Slovakia.
No, is Slovakia a country? God, I'm so geographically challenged. I'm so sorry. If you think I'm bad, you should meet my brother.
Yeah. He's not very good at anything that has to do with a map or city, town, state, country,
Time zones.
time zone,
I love you though.
continent.
So it's called the Republic of Karelia.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in Russia. But I told you, a country I've never heard of and that you've never heard of because I know everything you know.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. But in that republic, there's a place called Mount Vatavara. Locals there call it Death Mountain.
Is that what it translates to?
I don't think that's what it translates to, but it's what they call it.
Oh, yeah?
This place is so weird. Like, I think we're going to have to cover it in an episode. But trees will, like, grow like a normal tree. And then they hit a certain spot. Like, let's say 25 feet. That's not it. But let's say they grow to 25 feet. And then once they hit 25 feet, they either start growing back down towards the ground or sideways. Almost as if there's, like, a dome barrier. Yeah, isn't that so weird?
That is odd.
And then in that area, there's no animals, no birds, nothing living in the water
Is
there.
it near Chernobyl?
Oh. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. That could be
Way to
weird.
fucking pee in my Cheerios.
Well, I didn't really do that, guys.
Huh.
The Cheerios are unurinated.
I'll have to look into that. But if it is weird, we'll do an episode on it because the tree thing really gets me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little different when you started telling me about that. I was like, huh, what now?
But yeah, I think that's everything I have. I haven't heard anything in the news lately about aliens really or anything like that.
Yeah, they kind of backed down. I don't know why.
Yeah. But in honor of the Super Bowl,
Ooh,
we are heading down to New Orleans this week.
I wish.
Oh, gosh, me too. I do want to preface this. This story is like very prominent in local lore, but there is zero documented evidence backing it up.
All right.
So
I
just
like tales like that.
so just to get it out there. But our story starts with Louis J. Dufilo Jr.
Nah, I remember him.
I thought you would. Unfortunately, I can't tell you a whole lot about Louis's life. I did find one single Louis J. Dufilo on Ancestry.com that almost fits his information, but the Louis we're talking about is a junior, so his father would be Louis too, right?
Possibly you don't have to, though. You can name your kid whatever the fuck. You can.
That's fair.
There's a lot of kids that are named Junior that are not named after their parents. They're named after somebody else in the family, like the grandparent.
Okay. Well, regardless of that, the Louis on Ancestry, his father's name was Jean, but that Louis also has a death certificate saying that he died earlier than our Louis. So, yeah. But only one Louis came up, so I don't know. I don't think that is the Louis that we're talking about. However, in a lot of my research, that is the Louis that comes up the most. So I don't know. It is said that Louis Jr. had an older brother that was also named Louis, and he passed away early, so perhaps that's who the death record is for. And then since you said that people can be named Junior after other family members, I wonder if maybe they had two sons and...
Yeah, that could be a very real thing too.
Okay. But what we do know is Louis was born in France, and then his family moved over and settled in Louisiana. According to some articles, the DeFilo family did run an apothecary.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. Back then, to open your own apothecary or pharmacy, you had to do a 6-month apprenticeship with an established pharmacist, and then you were free to open your own business and mix together whatever you wanted to sell.
Fuck yeah, dude. That'd be so cool.
I did it. I know.
I mean, not for everyone else to do it, but for me to open my own business, I just fucking hang out for 6 months.
That's fair.
I think... All right.
I think it would depend on the business. I think even you, if you were like, somebody was like, here, go make medication now. You'd be like, ah. But anyway, so yeah, there really were no laws about what you could mix together, which isn't great.
Well, that's how they started making Coca-Cola with cocaine.
Of course, it would be bad business for pharmacists to intentionally give poison or something like that because they still wanted returning customers.
Yeah.
But back then, science wasn't nearly as far as it is now, and of course they didn't know how bad some things were, so some of the stuff was really crazy to learn about. For example, apparently back then it was a common practice to dip tampons into opium and give that to women to ease their cramps.
I feel like that'd really work.
It probably would, but I'm sure there'd be some crazy side effects to that.
Probably, but it fucking probably worked like very well.
I also learned that I'm so thankful to be a migraine sufferer in the 21st century because did you know that back before they really understood what headaches were...
About lobotomies?
Basically, yeah. Before they understood what headaches were, they thought they were caused by pressure in your head.
Yeah, you had to relieve the pressure.
So they would drill holes.
Yeah.
What? That's crazy to me.
They'd Hannibal Lecter the fuck out of you and be like, do you feel a headache? And you're like, nope, just fucking drill hole.
Yeah.
Now I can't see out my left eye. That's weird. My whole left side's numb.
I'd be like a piece of Swiss cheese.
I'm like, here, try this meat.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've come a long way. It was really scary. But there was so much crazy information like that. I think we're also going to have to definitely do an episode just on like old-timey medical practices.
Yeah, remember? They didn't believe in washing your hands. They thought that was devil's work. That's gross.
Yeah. Lots of crazy stuff. But that's like, this episode in general was so hard to not go down so many rabbit holes because hello, New Orleans. Like,
what's up, Nolans?
Yeah. Because we just did a super history heavy episode. I didn't want to do the whole history of New Orleans. But oh my gosh, we could do an episode every day for the rest of the year on New Orleans and still barely be scratching the surface.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, it's crazy. So fun. I want to go. But none of that is really why we're here today. So moving on to the story. In 1804, Governor Claiborne passed a law that made Louisiana the first state to require licensing for pharmacists.
You motherfucker.
The law made it a requirement for aspiring pharmacists to pass a 3-hour oral exam.
Oh, like, you gotta get 3 different orals, dude. That's fucking crazy.
Oh my gosh. That was a slip of the tongue. I meant a 3-hour oral exam that was given by like a special appointed, what's the word? Like board of pharmacists?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then our little Louis Jr. grew up and he decided he wanted to be a pharmacist. He moved back to France for college. Then after he graduated, he returned to Louisiana and became the first person to pass that oral exam.
Ever?
And
there's not that much history about this guy?
Right? That's what was so crazy to me is I couldn't, there wasn't even a Wikipedia page that said the year he was born. Isn't that crazy?
So does this law really exist or is that lore?
Yes, it really exists. But his ambitions did not interfere with love because in 1819, little Louis married Amy Adele Becknell and together they had 7 children. Ton of children.
Too many, some would say.
For him, it's a good amount. For us, that would be way too many children. In 1823 was when he built and opened the country's first licensed pharmacy.
See, I call bullshit on this because there should be a lot more about this guy if he opened the country's first licensed pharmacy. There should be some fucking records.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like documentation that he opened this place. There's just not much. Like I couldn't find a birth certificate, but obviously they didn't really do that.
Yeah,
I couldn't
fair.
find the year of birth for sure. Even his year of death was like, well,
Obscure.
yeah, just very like, and sometime after he passed away. But we'll get there.
Okay.
Kind of.
Oh.
On the ground floor of the building he had built was the pharmacy. And his family lived on the second and third floors because so many kids, you know?
Yeah, you need like hell of floors.
Yeah. He successfully ran this pharmacy for 3 decades and accomplished a lot of great things.
Because it sounded like he had a whole fucking zoo upstairs, so everyone was intrigued.
Maybe. He helped to discover a lot of new and safer medicines. He even helped to discover a cure for yellow fever after it took the life of his brother that I mentioned earlier. Louis Jr. did a lot of good in that building, and in 1855 he decided it was time to retire, so he sold the building and returned with his family to France. I feel the crackly voice coming on so bad right now. I'm so sorry if that is annoying on the mic.
It's okay. I'm not doing the editing this week.
This week.
I'm not.
I know on other podcasts, at the end of the podcast, they say, and shout out to our editor for making us sound good. We never do that.
I shot you a text earlier. Fuck off.
You did. All right. You get a pass this week. Louis sold the pharmacy for $18,000 to Celestine Fleitas, the wife of Dr. James Dupas. In today's money, because I did let myself go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here. In today's money, that would be about $652,975.86.
It's not that bad.
Yeah,
It's a pretty penny for a pharmacy.
but hold on.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, just for fun, I found a building that's only 300 feet away from the pharmacy museum that's for sale right now.
Yeah.
It's a multifamily home with 2 stories. The first floor is set up to be a real retail spot like the pharmacy. The second floor is the residential area with 2 residential units.
Yeah, I'm not moving there if that's what you're
No,
getting at.
I know you're not. I'm setting the scene.
Oh, okay. You're trying to sell this place, dude? Are we in
Maybe.
real estate now?
One day. Wouldn't that be so fun to be like,
Selling paranormal real estate?
yeah, I would love that. Or even, it's been heavy on my mind a lot lately to do like
Airbnb?
no, what's it called? Like a travel company?
Oh,
I'd like be a haunted travel agent.
that'd be fun, but that's mostly like, develop an app.
Yeah. Oh, maybe. I can't do that. But I can have people give me money and be like, we want to go to Chicago, find me the haunted things. And I'm like, I got you, sir.
I'll do your Google.
Yeah, I'll do your Google for you.
Dig it. Anxious at bedtimepodcast@gmail.com. So, anyways, what happened?
The first floor is a retail spot. The second area is residential, or the second floor. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with 2,350 square feet. And it was built in 1950, so it's still pretty old, but a little bit newer than the museum. But it is 1 less floor than the pharmacy building. So, it's less building.
Yeah.
And it's currently listed at $1,395,500.
And how much was this one?
What do you mean?
The pharmacy, how much was it sold for?
In today's money, $652,975. So inflation caused it to be almost double than what was paid in the past.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That is.
Not even almost double. That is double.
I don't know. I'm dyslexic. I'm no good with the numbers.
I did the math earlier. It is double, which for 1 less floor too, that's crazy to me. But yeah, sorry for that little side tangent. It was just really interesting to me. Now, before we continue, I want to stress that there is no documented evidence that this story is true. This is important because the owners of the building today seem very irritated that this story circulates at all. But like I said in the beginning, it is very famous local lore, and apparently if you take almost any ghost tour in the French Quarter, Dr. Dupas will be mentioned.
This is for documentary purpose. Oh, wait.
Entertainment purposes
This
only.
is for entertainment and educational purposes only on entertainment.
Yeah, on entertainment. Yes, so we're treating this as a ghost story and nothing more, okay? Everything is alleged.
Everything is hypothetical.
So let's get into it.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, allegedly. Again, there's very little information on the early years of James Dupas.
Dupois.
See, my mouth wants to say Dupois, but it's Dupas. But it's spelled Dupas. Yeah.
I don't speak French.
Me either. It's believed that he was born in France in 1810 and came to New Orleans in 1831. He married a woman named Celestine Pauline Fleitas and moved into the pharmacy right after they purchased it. He kept the pharmacy on the ground floor, but he opened a medical practice on the second floor because he was a doctor, and he lived with his wife and 4 children on the third floor. Yeah. So busy, busy, busy. While Louis de Filo was a well-respected and beloved pharmacist that created a popular business, it is rumored that Dr. Dupas had the opposite effect. Allegedly, it was rumored that Dupas was doing unethical experiments, and because of that, the reputation of the pharmacy declined. One of the rumors was that he intentionally added addictive substances, such as cocaine and heroin, to his medications in order to keep people coming back and buying more. Which is crazy because this is after that law was put into place. But maybe there are different rules for doctors. I don't know. But he still ran a pharmacy. I don't know. It's still weird. That just shows you how bad things were before any laws were put into place. People were just doing not great stuff. It was also rumored that he performed unnecessary and unsafe experiments on people, kind of just for the sake of curiosity.
It's pretty fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
Sadly, there's a lot of that shit that happens in science.
Yeah, that's true. But the rumors really started to swirl when allegedly neighbors of his would see patients walking into his medical office and then never leaving.
Were the neighbors really watching that hardcore and that long?
I would.
I get sidetracked, bored, something.
It's true. When he was confronted about all of the missing patients, it was said that his response was, quote, "Perhaps they went back to France."
Oh, so I only treated the French.
I guess. I didn't think about that. Now, nothing ever came of these allegations until after the doctor passed away, allegedly.
Allegedly.
In 1870, James Dupas died,
Supposedly.
supposedly from complications of syphilis, specifically diarrhea.
Oh, he done dehydrated himself or shit himself to death. He was tired of shitting and just died. He's like, fuck this, I'm dead.
Something, yeah. Now, I forgot to put this in my notes, but one thing that is talked about is perhaps because he had syphilis, he went crazy, and that's why he was doing all of these things. Because syphilis can really mess with your brain, I guess.
Yeah, I've heard that, but how long did he have syphilis for?
I don't know. Long enough to die of diarrhea.
That could have been like 6 hours.
Oh, I don't know. I'll get more information on it when we cover old-timey medical.
When we cover haunted syphilis and haunted diarrhea.
Not that.
Oh.
It's believed that after his death, the remains of some of his victims were found buried in the courtyard behind the building. And from there, people worked backwards to understand the horrors that allegedly happened in that building.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, according to stories.
This much we know.
The main belief is that he did his unethical experiments on pregnant women, enslaved people, beggars, basically anybody that he felt could disappear without their disappearance being noticed.
Like Jack the fucking Ripper.
Yeah. And of course, this was happening during the yellow fever, and it was just the 1800s of it all. So it would be very easy for him to pass off all of these extra dead bodies as victims of the fever, victims of whatever was going on at the time.
Especially since he works in the medical field.
Exactly. So people would come to see him because they were sick or pregnant or needed some cocaine, aspirin. I don't know really what they got back then.
Heroin, aspirin, coke, aspirin, something like that, yeah.
And he would take them up to the second floor to be treated. Then he would perform his experiments, and when his victims would pass away, there was, allegedly, a crawl space between the first and second floor that he would put the dead bodies in until nighttime. Then, under the cover of dark, he would take the bodies, and I guess there was like a passageway or a doorway, something like that, that led to the area where a carriage would be parked. And it was like over top of it, if that makes sense.
Allegedly, it does.
Allegedly. So it's believed that he would drop the bodies from that passage straight down into a carriage so that he wouldn't be seen carrying out all of these dead bodies in the middle of the night.
Guy was the MacGyver of getting rid of bodies.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And then he could quickly dispose of the bodies from there because they're in the carriage instead of having to bury all of them in the courtyard. The building itself was sold a few times, and then in 1937, it was officially bought by the city of New Orleans, but it wasn't until 1950 that the museum was opened. Today, if you visit, you will find a museum filled to the brim with 19th to mid-20th century artifacts, including things that were actually owned by the DeFilo family. So the first ever licensed pharmacist, his family, they have stuff in there.
But they don't know when he was born.
Anyway, disgustingly enough, those objects from the family were found when the outhouse that was in the courtyard was dug up in the 1980s.
How do you try to flush something without plumbing?
You just drop it in the hole.
And shit on it?
And shit on it.
Shit on this family.
Yeah. So that's gross.
No, what's even grosser is when they discovered it, somebody dug through shit.
Yeah.
To find out nothing about this family.
Hopefully by then, all of the poop was like soil, you know? Like it.
No, it was soiled when they took it.
No.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Anyway, you would love this place.
Not if it's covered in shit.
It's not. I'm sure they're in a locked case, but you walk in. So on the outside, it's like a beautiful, typical New Orleans building, okay? Like balconies, whatever. It's gorgeous. You walk in, and it's wall to wall, like vintage prescription.
I do like walls.
Vintage prescription bottles. There's like a jar labeled leeches that they used to keep the leeches in.
Ooh.
It's empty now, don't worry.
Oh.
There's
allegedly
all of the crazy like doctor stuff of the times, you know. We've seen some of them in the museums we go to.
Oh yeah.
And then you go upstairs and it's still I didn't see too many pictures of upstairs, but they still have like all of the stuff that was used by doctors at the time. I think it's still set up like a doctor's practice, but I'm not 100% sure. But you can still see like buckets from bloodletting and stirrups from birth giving. And like it seems so cool and like very spooky and just kind of like gothic-y, old-timey.
Moody.
Yeah, very much. You can like tell the New Orleans vibes. It's not like some of the Western things we've been to. It's spookier for sure.
I dig it.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy it. And for just $10 a ticket, you can take a self-guided tour and explore the ground floor, the second floor, and the courtyard.
Oh, but you don't get to go through their bedrooms and shit?
No, isn't that weird?
No.
I always want to know.
Not the way that I phrased it, no.
Well, not the way you phrased it. But I always want to know why there's blocked off sections.
Like, if they're just restoring it, that makes sense. But why is it always blocked off? What part of this house that we're not allowed to know about?
I mean no disrespect, but I always want to know. One thing that gave me goosebumps is there are these things called show globes that they have in the windows when you walk up to the building. So like the storefront windows.
Yeah.
And there's a little plaque in front of them that explains that back in older times, when there was any sort of plague or virus going around, any sort of sickness, they would fill those show globes with red water or red liquid. I don't really know for sure. But they did that in order to warn people that the sickness is going around and to take extra precautions. So, during COVID, the museum filled the show globes once again with red water.
Museum's very involved.
Yeah, I just thought that was... I mean, not fun because, you know, COVID, but it was an interesting little tidbit.
Allegedly.
Well, okay. But yeah, there's a ton of photos and videos of that if you want to see it. I don't think they still have it set up like that because, you know, it's been 5 years, but interesting nonetheless.
It is interesting.
They also have an online catalog of things like pharmacist recipe books from back then and old prescription files.
Like other people's prescriptions?
Yeah, I think so.
They're like there wasn't HIPAA back here.
Yeah.
Or back then. Fuck this. No HIPAA were releasing this guy's medical charts.
But so if that tickles your fancy, you can find that on the museum's website. And it seems like sometimes they have stuff like that in the museum, but it said that it was currently not open to the public, so I don't know.
That's what's on the third floor.
Oh.
Everyone's personal files.
That would actually make a lot of sense.
And they're trying to figure out which ones are HIPAA protected, and I don't know, I'm bullshitting.
But that would kind of make sense. Like how the really big famous libraries shut down certain parts because they're like, a lot of people have been touching those books lately or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, this place does not lean into the rumored dark history or the hauntings at all.
Yeah, I don't get that. I would.
Me too. Even on the website, in the FAQ part,
Yeah.
it asks, is the building haunted? And their response is, well, it's New Orleans.
Well, that's fair, yeah.
Yeah, it's fair, but that's like such a political answer. They didn't say no, though, which I think is promising.
That is.
But the museum is definitely very academically historical, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the first licensed pharmacy.
Yeah, so it's the vibe they try to put out is more so like come and learn.
Professional. And
Yeah.
like a historical museum, not a haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just know that if you plan on going. But what a lot of people recommend is first booking a ghost tour. Because like I said, almost every single ghost tour you take will take you to that area and tell you about the history and the lore. And then after that ghost tour, visit the museum and you can get the full experience that way.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Because boy, are there hauntings here.
At least 2 I've heard.
Allegedly.
No, those ones are real. Allegedly.
First of all, the ghost of Dr. James Dubois is believed to still roam the building.
Allegedly.
The apparition of a middle-aged man with a mustache has been seen in both the brown suit and also in his white lab coat.
That has nothing to do with the museum or anything either. The history, it's just some guy that's like, fuck, when they put this building here?
The good news is, I think that means that you can change your outfit as a ghost. So, that's cool.
Or he died in the middle of trying to change, so he's just walking around with it.
His ghost is believed to be behind a lot of mischief within the building. There's been reports of books flying off shelves, the alarm system being tripped for no apparent reason, things in locked displays have been rearranged, and also cabinets have been opened and closed by themselves. His apparition is mostly reported being seen in the stairwell that connects the ground floor to the second floor. So, watch out for him there. A ton of pregnant women that have visited the museum have reported feeling uneasy, getting nauseous, and getting cramps after going to the second floor. This is super interesting because the first floor was always the apothecary, right? The pharmacy. The second floor was the doctor's office. So that's where he did his experiments. And that's where he took pregnant women and did all of those unspeakable things. And the fact that that's where people report feeling sick, and sometimes it's people that don't even know the history going into it, and they find out after they visit, that's insane.
Yeah.
There is one woman on Reddit who shared that when she visited this museum, her husband had a horrible headache, and she kept feeling like somebody was following her around, touching her uterus, like putting their hands on her stomach. And she kept thinking she was hearing somebody say, I want to see it. Isn't that gross?
Yeah, that'd have been weird.
Yeah. When her and her husband went to the second floor, both of their symptoms got even worse, and she couldn't shake the feeling that whoever was following her wanted her husband to leave the two of them alone. That woman said that she had just given birth a few months prior, and she thinks that the voice she was hearing was Dr. Dubois saying that he wanted to see her uterus because he likely hadn't seen a living uterus after giving birth. And the woman that had this experience was one of the people that had no idea about the rumors when she went there, but after she returned home, she was like, this is a really weird experience, let me look it up. And that's how she found out the history, the alleged history.
Allegedly.
I did forget to mention, as soon as her and her husband left the museum, both of their symptoms were gone.
That's good at least.
Yeah. It's almost like Dubois gave her husband that headache in an attempt to make the husband leave so that he and the wife could be alone. Isn't that scary?
That is.
And that's a story that gets told a lot, is something will happen to the husband or the boyfriend that'll make them be like, oh, I kind of feel sick, like I should go to the car or I should go to the hotel and wait or whatever. People also often report feeling like somebody's right behind them when they're climbing the stairs, and sometimes people say they feel like they were pushed. But the terrifying doctor is not the only ghost. There's also a ghost of a woman that's been seen in the courtyard, and 2 children have been seen throughout the entire place, inside and out. The courtyard is beautiful despite all of the rumored hauntings. It has like a cobblestone flooring. There's a beautiful water fountain in the center. There's a ton of plants and greenery. And if that sounds right up your alley, fret not. You can rent it out for weddings and parties. The doctor was also rumored to perform voodoo rituals there, but of course it's New Orleans, so you can kind of find that all over. But that does add to the vibe of it. One thing to just keep in mind is the rumors of Dr. Dubois are very similar to the true story of a doctor in Alabama named James Marion Sims. They do have the same first name. They were both doctors. It was right around the same time, so
Maybe they worked together.
yeah, who knows? But that is listed on the museum's website, the similarities between the stories. But yeah, that's everything I've got.
Lesson on the website, like they're really trying to deter those rumors of those being true stories.
It seems like it. But thank you for joining us. You can find us on social media. We have an Instagram and a TikTok and a Threads. If you or somebody you know has had an experience with the paranormal, please email it to anxiousatbedtimepodcast@gmail.com if you want it read on the podcast.
The world can be a scary place with possible pharmacists maybe existing, and they opened the first pharmacy, so they got to be real. But we're probably fine, and they're probably not doing experiments on us, right?
At least not anymore.
Yeah, I think we're probably fine.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Sleep tight.